You know, on the one hand, politicians and academics love to debate things like Senate reform. And they like to debate things like the equalization program. Now, does anyone here understand the equalization program? And, of course, they love to focus on Western alienation. And they wonder why it's happening. The issue is basically how the Canadian family functions. What works and what doesn't work. And what could and should be changed to make it even better. You know, I had the opportunity of meeting with Stephen prior to the election, Jason. And he said, providing we're elected, what would you like from the government? I said, stay out of our face. It's no surprise to me that Alberta has been the birthplace of some of Canada's most important political movements and some of its most significant political leaders. Albertans quite simply have a tradition of raising the level of political dialogue in Canada. Albertans' occasional frustrations with Canada aren't with their fellow Canadians. They're with Ottawa. You know, where your taxpayers go to die. Well, hopefully not now, Jason. Albertans aren't people to simply accept the status quo, and I found that out traveling the province. The problem too, right. But the province is wonderful, and I've always said, if I have any advice for any of the leadership hopefuls, it's to get out from under the dome and find out what Albertans are thinking. Find out what the reality is. And I think it's part of our provincial personality to believe that no matter how good or bad things are, we can always work to make things better. And there has been a clear trend in recent decades, especially in the last 10 to 15 years, of the federal government, the federal Liberals, using its spending power to encroach into areas of provincial jurisdiction and drive federal policy initiatives. And I don't see any reason why a dollar earned in Alberta needs to go to Ottawa and back before it can be spent on in Alberta on Albertans' priorities. And I have some premiers saying to me, well, it's easy for you to refuse that money because you can open the vault, the Petro vault. Well, I don't like that implication, firstly because it's not fair to Albertans. We're taxpayers like everyone else, and we deserve to see our dollars used as wisely as possible. And why should we pay for two governments to do the same job? And secondly, as I've told my colleagues around the Premier's table, it's not fair to other Canadians. Everyone in Canada deserves to have the best possible public services at an affordable cost. And it serves no one, least of all people in less prosperous provinces, to see resources squandered in turf battles and inefficiencies. And I think it would be better for all Canadians if federal spending powers were restricted to the areas laid out in the Constitution. Now, let's face it, whether you love the Constitution or not, and it's there. It's there. It's written. It's cast in stone. And we should either be prepared to live by it or change it. And to change it is going to require a lot. In my view, the past 15 years of federal, provincial wrangling over everything from health care to daycare can be traced back to a federal government, a federal Liberal government, that did not respect the division of powers laid out in the Constitution. It led to a lot of squabbling and very little progress, and Canadians paid the price. It was good for the media because it played into the 5 C's of journalism: conflict, confusion, chaos, confrontation, and whatever else. Conflict, I guess. Now, I would never call up the Premier of, say, Quebec, Jean Charest, and tell him how to run his child care program. And I'm pretty sure that he would never try to tell me how to run our programs here. So can anyone tell me how it makes sense for Ottawa to tell both of us that what will work best in both our provinces? It's crazy. Ottawa isn't accountable for how the provinces use their dollars, nor are the provinces accountable to Ottawa. They're accountable only to the people they serve. In other words, I'm accountable to Albertans. So the net result is a system that favors the continued expansion of the role of government and the officials and the bureaucrats. And this gets back to my earlier point that all provinces have an interest in getting Ottawa to stay out of our space. That's all. That's all we ask.